Hey and welcome! In this video you will get the full blueprint of creating your first pour, Geode Resin art pour, and I'm here to show you which steps you need to follow from start to finish to create your very first project and what is crucial to remember about. But if you want to have it on paper, if you want to have all of the steps that you can print out, keep it on the side, follow it, and anytime you want to not revisit and rewatch constantly videos, and to have it on hand with you when you will be creating, check the description and get your free PDF guide for beginners to kickstart your journey. You will see how to organize your space, what are the project essentials, what are the top mistakes, and the full 15 steps blueprint. But here I'm showing up here to talk about it here in the video, so you have all of the understanding of the process before you even get it, right? So first thing first, in the art process creation, you need to choose the design and the size of the panels. If you're a beginner, I really advise you to stick to 30 centimeters or 40 centimeters, which is 12 to 16 inches size. It's something that you can really grasp, idea about pouring with resin, test it, try it, not get overwhelmed. Resin is having a specific pot time, which is like workable time, which is sometimes between 30-45 minutes for the geode art, and sometimes it's, especially for beginners, it's very overwhelming because after that the resin is not really workable. So it's better to start with a little bit smaller projects, but the except of the size, the shape of the panel, if it's gonna be round, square, rectangular, you can choose yourself. You can also choose the design, and this is important to choose the design with the crystals beforehand. Just think about, you can easily reverse engineer other artists' project. If there's something that you really like from my own designs that I'm creating, you can check on the Instagram what kind of designs I'm creating. Maybe there's something that is really drawing your attention. You can choose the same design, right? So reverse engineer where I put the DRUZY, where I put the crystals, how I put it, like how I put it on the canvas, and then basically pour in the same sequence and the same form on the canvas, right? But always choose a little bit smaller project to not get overwhelmed. So this is step number one: choosing the size, choosing the shape, and choosing the crystals that you're gonna work with and getting them right. So step two, get all of the crystals and the DRUZY and for the design, because this is gonna be the heart and the center of your geode artwork. It's not about drawing the lines, it's not about pouring a lot of different colors of the resin. The heart and the center of the geode art are the crystals, and this is gonna be your focal point. So whatever else you're gonna be creating in the next steps, it's gonna be around to complement your heart of the geode art, which is the crystal design. So please always take time for each and every steps from the blueprint. Take sweet time. Don't rush it. Don't go through the process with like a speed. There is no competition. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. The artwork creation process is for you to enjoy it. It's for you to rejuvenate yourself and to have a mindfulness time during the day. The time when you can feel a little bit more grounded, calm, and rejuvenated. And this is something that I also want to talk in other videos, how the artwork creation process can level your high levels of anxiety and even depression, and how it can help you rejuvenate yourself. But let's get back to the chase, let's get back to the point. Number three is the materials that you need to pour the rest of the resin, the tools that you need. If you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed in what kind of materials you should get, what are the essentials, what is really important here, and which tools do you need, as for any project, right? Which is like the bare minimum to get for any project. Check the PDF guide that you get for free from me, and you can print and you can have list of the essential materials over there, and you will know exactly what to get, which cups, which sticks, If you should get a torch or heat gun and mask, gloves, everything is gonna be there, so it's like less overwhelming. I want to make this process much more achievable for you guys and much more peaceful and calming, and so you know that you can do it yourself as well. You can really do it yourself, and I'm here to guide you and to help you. And once you get the tools, you need to know which kind of colorants for the resin you are gonna get to complement the colors of the crystals and the colors of your interior as well. So also about the colorants of the resin, I have a specific different kind of video which you can learn more about what kind of colorants there are. But my rule of thumb and my best advice here is to not get over your head with choosing colors. Just when you choose the crystals and when you set up your mind about the crystal design and formation, just use whatever is complementing the crystal's color, what is matching the crystal's color, and also your interior. So maybe you want to use a little bit of white is also something that I'm always using together with the colors. It's a color very calming but also very universal. So this is what I really advise you if you don't know where to start. One color to complement your crystals, white color to add, and maybe beige of gray is also very neutral and very well universal color that is gonna match and go well with a lot of the designs. And now we're going to step number 4. I'm looking at my blueprint that I have that you will get too if you go to the link below in the description. I'm looking at the steps, so I will talk very quickly and I will give you all of the important points here. And decide in which room you are going to pour resin. I have the full video about how to prepare the space, how to organize the space, so make sure you are prepared for pouring the resin. And even if you are waiting for some materials, especially if you just order and you need to wait a couple of days to get the materials, just organize, pick the room, organize the space, make sure that you follow your guidance of the resin, working with resin, make sure to protect the surface, protect yourself. Very important to remember is that resin is peeling off very nicely from plastic and silicone, but from nothing else. So if you want to protect any kind of surface, get a very thick plastic foil or a drip cloth and or silicone mats, but I think the plastic drip cloths, like in the construction stores, Home Depot, it's something very on budget and universal to use, and you can cut it to any kind of pieces that you need. But all of the details about organizing the space, what kind of temperature, humidity, dust protection, everything, it's gonna be in another video. I cannot create one full video with all of the details, so I want to cut and portion them in smaller pieces, but all of the information you will see in other videos on the playlist, so check out there and watch them, because I am giving you all of the information that you need to do it yourself. And step number 5, start doing prep work on the canvas that you will have and that you chose for your project. So many artists are getting excited about pouring the resin, they don't do the prep work. You always choose wooden or MDF surface to work with resin, and it's important to put gesso, to put the tape on the sides to protect it, and also to get a very nice crispy looking edges. You don't want to have a messy artwork at the end. If you want to have exceptional results, professionally looking artwork that you will be proud of, please remember about not skipping on the prep work. And this is something that is really important. Step number 6, attach the crystals on the panel. Use hot glue gun, use any highlights that you want to use. If you want to know more about DRUZY, if you want to know how to build up amazingly more advanced DRUZY creations on your panel and very advanced looking crystal formation. You can check my other videos, but also my training on the DRUZY, and I will be having very soon a surprise on the DRUZY mixes, and I will be guiding you more about DRUZY, because DRUZY is something that I really love, and I think it's the best complementing material that can go with crystals, and it's looking much more natural and high-end than fire glass and any big glass gravel. So make sure to place it, to attach it properly on the canvas so it's not gonna fall off, and to make all of this design before you even start to pouring resin, because this is the center, the heart, and the focal point of your geode artwork. So this is something that you do before you even start pouring resin. And then you, in step number 7, you pour the first layer of resin, and you just go with lines around your center, and you go with the flow of the center, right? So always go with the flow on your center of the DRUZY and the crystal formation that you just put on the panel. Remember to make it flow nicely all together. Don't throw just resin out there. Just go slowly, take your sweet time. There is no rush. Mix smaller batches of resin to have a little bit more space and time to pour it. And if you want to see how I'm pouring an example of artwork, you can see my example tutorials in the channel as well. And don't remember that at the end of the pour you need to torch the surface, but at the end I'm not using any heat guns in between. I'm not torching between my pouring, because I don't want to ruin the resin, the design. The resin is getting much more liquid and much more flowy when you torch it, when you're heating it up. So remember, my pro tip is to not use any heat gun when you create geode artwork, but remember to use art resin calculator, or your specific resin that you are using calculator, because it's very crucial to get the amount that you need. But don't, if you're a beginner, don't work with more than 300 milliliters of resin at a time. If your artwork is at least requiring you to have a little bit more resin, mix it later. But if you will stick with my 12-16 inches, which is 34 to 40 centimeters, you shouldn't be needing more than 300 milliliters of resin, which I don't know if what is the amount in fluid ounces, but you can translate it in a calculator. But it's like a mug of resin. This is the more or less a size, the volume that I advise to use at a time. And next step that we are having here, it's very important here that you will not mess up with your design. Don't add any extra lines, don't pour on top of it, don't add any highlights at this stage. Just check, just pour the lines next to each other, even if they're gonna start to act a little bit differently than you expect. Don't mess around with the piece, don't add anything on top, no highlights, nothing. Just finish the lines of pouring and allow the resin to rest and to cure, and you will be able to rebalance the piece later. And remember that you need to check if you don't have any hair, any like big dust particles, anything that shouldn't be in the resin before you leave the room. And just allow the resin to cure and just leave it alone. And then the next step is the next day, step number 9. Come in, ventilate the room, take the artwork from the room, take it to the outside, look at it in the sunlight. If you have some mica powders, glitters, it's gonna to come much more to life. It's gonna be much more visible, and you can then decide and look at it, try to fill it in, see what you like, what you don't like, which elements you want to balance more, which elements you want to maybe cover or work on, or bring some more line work on, which color is like a little bit missing or off the balance, so you can add add them with your pens, where to draw metallic lines. I always draw, usually I draw, if I don't have very rich glitter around my DRUZY, I usually finish it with also with gold to make it more like pop, and it's like an icing on the cake. It's always making it much more visible. It's also allowing the DRUZY to pop and all of the crystal formation to be more high-end looking. And this is the time to just look at the piece and not rush it, right? Even if you are not super happy with what you're looking at, always remember that there are still how many 6 steps to finish the piece and to rebalance it. And step number 10, just start working with your details. And you can start with the place on the canvas that you really don't like. Bring some line work, draw some lines with the pen. I'm using acrylic pens for pen work. You can start with color lines or white lines. If you are a beginner, I advise you to maybe focus more on the white lines and on the metallic lines. Make those extra accents in the places that you feel like they need a little bit, and it's up to you if you want single lines, double lines, triple lines. It's up to you what is your preference and aesthetics. And next step is gonna be putting the artwork on the wall and sitting with it. Take a day to just walk around it, fill it in, look at it, decide if it's something missing, because until the point of pouring the top coat, you can still change it. Very often you can pour lines with glitter, then remember that you use really like 80% or 70% of the glitter, and you make it very, very dense with the resin, so they're not spreading. It's like a consistency of the dough, and make and apply those glitter lines, just finishing touches, any kind of finishing touches with line work or highlights before you add top coat. But if you decide to use any highlights, it's with the top coat, and it's gonna be in next steps. So next step is gonna be to pour your top coat finally, and this is only when you are happy with the piece, and I would reach for 80% of feeling satisfied with the piece. I'm a perfectionist myself, and I'm here to tell you that you can go crazy, and it's gonna be taking you days and weeks to finish piece if you will be striving for perfection. You need to be happy like 80% of the piece. There's still remember that resin art is fluid art. There's still gonna be something that is not gonna go the way that you want to, but the highest goal is to be 80% happy with the piece. And then if you feel like it's balanced enough, if it's having all of the colors that you needed, all of the accents, you know, you can pour the top coat. And for the top coat, remember that to use the specific space for resin pour, and top coating is just mixing the amount of resin that the calculator is showing you, pouring it on the canvas, and sealing all of the detail work, because acrylic pens are very, very easy to scratch. So this is the best advice, to seal the final look. And if you have different levels of resin because you were adding some accents with resin later or glitter lines, this is gonna make it very even and very smooth. And the step number 13 is like, this is the time if you want to add some highlights, if you want to add some DRUZY, some glass particles, some crystal chips, some casted with the molds little highlights, DRUZY highlights, or casted with molds some resin crystal formations, clusters. You can add it right now with your top coat. It's not really good idea to attach it earlier with the first main pour of resin, because it can really slide, and it's not only like creating this wave effect when you put something in resin, it's creating the wave effect, but also the resin is still moving, and the design, it can end up in a little bit different place than when you attach it. So it's better to do it with your top coat, and now is the chance to do that. And you know, after you top coated, you can still finish those highlights with metallics. You can draw some lines. Many artists are drawing some lines again to give it a little bit more 3D look and 3D effect. So it's allowed, of course, to finish your artwork with some extra details. You can bring some metallics. You can highlight your highlights with extra metallics around. Now is the time to work with that. And final step, the last step, I would usually allow the artwork to sit for 48 hours or something like that before I even mess around with it, because I don't want to leave my fingerprints on top of the top coat. But now is the time to remove the tape. Heat it up a little bit with the heat gun to remove the tape and to get the crispy edges, and to, you know, to complete and finish the look. If you want to paint your sides with some different color, now is also a good idea to do it at the end. I usually leave it with plain wood, or if I have already gesso or MDF finish on my sides on the round panels, I choose it to finish it with gold color or white color or whatever interior color you have in the interior to finish it. But this is the last step, and then you just put it on the wall, and that's it, you know. And if you want to have all of those nitty-gritty details on the paper, if you have want to have a little bit of pro tips, if you want to have everything in one place, in one workbook, where you can see all of the essentials, all of the 15 steps, all of the top mistakes to avoid, how to prepare the space, and to not forget about it, because to be honest with you, if you are starting out, it can be a little bit overwhelming to memorize all of the information that I just gave you in this 20 minutes video, and it just covered the 15 steps blueprint and not even all of the subjects. So I will be here probably even like for 2 hours to talk about that, but the full PDF guide, which is for free for you guys, it's linked in the description. You can go to my website and subscribe, put your email in, and you will get the details to download the PDF. You can print it out or have it in the digital form on your computer. You can use it whenever you want to, right? So yeah, stay tuned. I'm gonna prepare more videos. I'm gonna talk more about different stages, mistakes, essentials. I'm gonna share with you some tutorials. I'm gonna try to spread as much value and knowledge as possible. So I would really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel, if you stay tuned, and yeah, I'm gonna see you in the next videos.